Well, this is a little bit of a dare. We never like to see plant material wasted, so if we can rescue a plant, we try. This landscape is going to be transformed and changed and redeveloped. We have a cycad, been here quite a while on site, and we're going to try to relocate it. We're usually against transplanting and relocating plants, but this is either relocated or it will be destroyed. So we're going to give it a try and see what we can do. The first step we're going to perform is to remove probably at least 25% of the fronds, focusing the plant's energy into a more manageable canopy, reduce the vascular demands on the tree's system, and see if we can relocate it, get it in the ground, and get it to survive. We want to soften the ground here to make excavation easier. So we're going to do an initial prep here. We're going to do some partial excavation, and once we get a nice water catchment around the tree where the spot is fairly level, we'll be able to fill it up with water and soften the soil. Pretty dry. This could give us an advantage in the move. We'll make clean cuts to the roots that we have to cut. Of course, we're going to have to cut roots. This plant has an extensive root system. Once we've made our initial dig, we'll recut the splintered and shattered root ends to clean cuts, and this will help the roots to resprout. Five or 10 pups are going to come off of this plant in the process of translocating it. We've popped another little pup off the side of this cycad here, and we've got some roots with it, and we're going to go ahead and pop this one up too, see if we can do another rescue out of this. We're going to give our new pups something to eat. We've got some readily available nutrients here in this grow mulch, and we're just going to try to create a good environment for roots to resprout. We're mixing it with the parent soil, the material that the plant has grown in for all these decades, and so hopefully no shock to the system. We'll give it the same thing that it had with a little nutrients and see if we can get it to take. Underneath the plant, our topsoil is less than a foot. Below that, we have our D&G, and it's like concrete. It is not yielding very easily, and so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to fill the basin all the way around it and just try to soften it with water. We'll take our lunch break, we'll come back and tackle it again and see if we can get this thing out of the ground. So we've got about 4 feet across here. This should be enough. We've excavated our hole for the cycad. We're moving a sago palm today, and we've prepped a site for it in advance of excavation. So we're going to go back over there and see if we can collect it. We have managed to loosen it, so now it's a question of getting it out of this hole and onto the truck. Yeah, it looks like it's completely freed, because if there were roots in the center holding it, we wouldn't be able to push it up. All of the roots appear to be lateral. It's sitting right on top of the ground. We're going to start with the tarp. Even this would just protect our hands from the rough trunk. We're going to cush the trunk like this. Good. We were very fortunate that it was rooted on a site with only a foot of soil all around it, and so it was sitting on D&G, which it did not root into. When we trimmed all the peripheral roots, we were able to rock it out of the hole. We rocked it back and forth, filling back in the hole underneath it, bringing it up to the surface. Then we were able to drag it on a kind of a skid arrangement and get it out to the truck. When you move a cycad, dig the hole where it's going first. You want to prep your hole first and minimum time out of the ground. So we got her up, and the root ball tarped, got her on the truck, so we're heading right to the planting site, only a few miles away, and we're going to go into the ground with it. We've backed in. It's only out of the ground for half an hour or an hour. This was a Herculean effort. It took 4 of us. 4 of us could not lift this, but 4 of us could drag it. We're going to go ahead and plant it right here where it stands. We've prepared our hole in advance to minimize the stress on it. We're using water. We're blasting down here at the root ball. We're making sure we're trying to flush water and soil into all the voids. We want to make sure we have no voids or air pockets under the root ball. So we're getting it pretty soggy right now. We're wetting it down, and flushing the soil into any possible voids. And then we're going to do some soil compaction around the edges here outside the root ball. We're going to do a little soil compression, try to drive the air out, make sure that we don't have any pockets of air underneath. We're going to go ahead and just rock it back and forth in the soggy, wet soil here while it's wetted down and try to get our final position for the tree's placement. It's a huge success. Now it's just whether or not it survives. We're going to come back on this. We're going to keep a weather eye on it. This is a gentler site than it was in. It was in full sun. On this side, it's in mottled shade, a little more protection from the sun, maybe not as much stress on the plant. So hopefully we'll have an easy transition to a survivor and a long-term specimen on site here.